Hey guys, YouTube 100 here. Alright, now here I am with another obscure 2000s Disney movie review. And next up, this is going to be a review for Sky High. So, yeah, I remember this movie was released in 2005, and I remember I did actually go to see this movie when it was released in the theaters, but prior to going into this movie, I really had never actually seen any trailers or heard anything about this movie prior to actually when I went to the theater to see it. I think I remember it was just my dad was just asking me and my siblings like about movies that we wanted to go see, and I guess this was one that did come up in that discussion. So yeah, I guess we decided on this movie. So yeah, so went to go see this movie when it did come out. And yeah, and going into it, I really didn't know what it was about. I hadn't seen any trailers or heard anything about the movie, so I really had no context about this movie prior to seeing it. So I really didn't even know really what to expect with it. Yeah, but yeah, and even when this movie was released, it once again just nobody really talked about this movie at all. Even in Nostalgia Critics at Disney Summer Review for the movie, he even said how this film really just really never does get talked about. So this movie just this is another movie that really just seemed to just come and go, and really just nobody ever really talked about it. Yeah, and quite honestly, I gotta say that this movie actually is pretty good. I'm not really sure why nobody really does talk about this movie. I mean, yeah, it does have a pretty creative idea to it, and plus, there's like a lot of things about it that really are pretty good. So, what is it about the movie that just really didn't leave that big of an impact? I really don't know. Yeah, like I said, this movie. It actually does have a pretty creative idea. What it's really about is it is about a bunch of teenagers who have superpowers, and they pretty much are in their families are superheroes, whether it's their parents or whatever. Yeah, and what it really is they actually attend high school for superheroes to learn about becoming superheroes, and just how to um use their superpowers and everything like that. Yeah, so this is actually a pretty creative idea. It does kind of remind me a little bit of the Harry Potter series, because this is kind of a similar setup to the Harry Potter series, where how they attend Hogwarts or to learn magic, and here it's they are attending school to learn about their powers and how to use them. So yeah, so it is kind of a similar setup to the Harry Potter series in that way. Yeah. Plus, also just it just seems like I saw in the Star Critics Disney Summer Review for the movie that he said how this is an original idea. Personally, I think that I kind of have seen this story done in similar ways before. Not really totally in this style, but I have actually seen it done in similar ways. Like I was just talking about, the setup with them going to school to learn how to use their powers and everything. It is kind of similar to how they go to Hogwarts in the Harry Potter series. Uh, Plus, also, just with this being really about superheroes, it does kind of remind me a little bit of the Disney Channel movie Up Up and Away. Have any of you actually seen the Disney Channel movie Up Up and Away? How that is really about a kid who's in a family of superheroes, and it just shows that he's basically the only one in his family that doesn't have any powers. Yeah, and as this movie starts off, it does kind of seem like this movie is kind of in this done in the same style as that movie, because yeah, as the film starts off, our main character in the movie, Will, it's showing that he doesn't have any powers as the movie starts. It just shows that he really hasn't developed any superpowers yet. But yeah, his parents are confident that he will gain powers, even though at first he really does make them think that he does have powers. Though yeah, it's eventually he eventually does reveal to them that he doesn't. But yeah, his parents are confident that his powers will eventually develop at some point. Yeah. Yeah, and eventually, in the second half of this movie is where he does get his powers, and yeah, he really does take the powers that both of his parents have. Yeah, yeah, so as the film starts, it kind of does make you like think that this is just like a done in the same way that the Disney Channel movie Up and Away was. Yeah, but yeah, later on, like it's showing that this is going in a different direction than Up and Away did. So yeah, yeah, and like I said, the movie overall, like it is pretty good. Like I remember when I went to see this movie in the theater, I did like it. Yeah, and I didn't really like keep up with this movie like a whole bunch. Like I didn't really watch it like that many times after like it came out like on DVD and everything. But yeah, I remember I just like catch it like on the Disney Channel a couple of times afterwards. So so yeah, so I do overall like this movie. Yeah, and it is actually done in a pretty creative way. Like I said, like it takes place like with like a teenage year. I'm sorry, it takes place in like with teenagers with superpowers, and they actually do go to like a superhero school to learn how to use their powers. And plus, yeah, and it does like have some creativity to it, where it shows like their school is actually way up high in the sky, hence the name Sky High. Yeah, yeah, and it just shows like how like the school faculty all has like powers of their own, and just yeah, everybody just has their own unique powers. And yeah, some powers are actually like really like real like powers that could really make them heroes, while others just have powers that really do seem pretty useless to fighting crime and everything like that. Yeah, yeah, but yeah, it does show like how like it is very creative. Like it does have like two sides of the school with like students learning to be a hero and ones learning to be a sidekick, depending on what their powers are. Yeah, and the film like does have like a few well-known stars in it. Like it has stars like uh, it has like Kurt Russell. Yeah, the film has a Kurt Russell in it. It also has like Linda Carter and Bruce Campbell, and yeah, it does have like a few big names in it. But yeah, yeah, as far as like how the kids go, like yeah, a lot of the kids in the film really are just like actors that really like aren't really well known at all today. So yeah, so it doesn't really have any like big name younger stars in the movie. But yeah, the all the students in the movie, whether it's like the main star Will or like all the other kids, like they're just fine. I mean, yeah, their performances are just fine. I mean, there's nothing groundbreaking, but there's nothing really bad about them either. So I do think that the kids all do a pretty good job in the movie. Yeah, and the kid characters like with the like Will and like his friends, they're just kind of like the typical school gang. Like you do have like just him and just like several other friends. You got like sort of like the dweeb in the group who's kind of like just pretty useless and always getting picked on. You got like the other friend who really just is kind of like another loser. Or yeah, yeah. You have like the girl best friend who like of course like is gonna like have some feelings for him and eventually reveal it later on. Yeah, yeah, so you do kind of just have like the typical old type of a teenager gang that you usually see in movies like this. Yeah, and yeah, and then of course you also do have like another girl who, of course, like the main character is gonna like really fall for, and yeah, and they're originally gonna get together, but then it's like shown like that she really isn't like the person that he really thinks she was, and all that stuff. And then yeah, then a fallout ensues between him and the other female friend. Yeah, kind of similar to what I was talking about in Max Keeble's Big Move, and those and a few other movies like that. Yeah, so yeah, so it does kind of like go down that route again with like the love triangle and everything. Yeah, yeah, and plus yeah, and even like when you do like find out who the villain is in the movie, like when you do like hear about like the villain's like backstory and you hear like their plans for or what they are wanting to do for like what happened to them before and how they're wanting to kind of like change this change the ways of the superpower or people like in full or when the villain is revealed, like their intentions are actually like kind of creative. creative. Like I don't know if I've even like really ever seen like another like a film kind of like go down this path. I mean, I kind of like have seen like how like there are like villains in other movies that are like wanting to change the future in ways to like control like the younger generations, but here they actually want to do it in kind of a different way. So yeah, that's actually pretty interesting. Yeah. So overall, I really just don't know what's not really good about this movie. I mean, this film's like no ground epic masterpiece or anything, but yeah, it does have like a lot of really good things about it. Some good performances, some funny moments. So yeah, so I just really don't know why this film just really doesn't get talked about because yeah, it is like a genuinely good and funny movie. So yeah, so if you haven't seen this movie before, I really do recommend it because yeah, it is a very creative and funny movie, and especially like if you're just wanting to see a film like this where you're just like seeing like some super teens learning how to become superheroes. Yeah, this is not a bad film to check out. So yeah, so I would probably give this film about like a 3.25 stars out of 4. Yeah, it is a genuinely good movie, and I really do feel that it deserves a lot more recognition. All right. So let me just talk about the story of the movie. All right. So the movie starts. It shows that Will Stronghold is starting uh, high school at Sky High. Yeah, and it shows that like his parents, yeah, his parents Steve and Joanne are actually two of the world's most famous superheroes. His dad is known as the Commander, and his mom is known as Jetstream. And yeah, his dad's power is like super strength, and his mom is able to fly. And so and it shows that Will hasn't developed any superpowers yet, but he like has his parents thinking that he has. Yeah, yeah. And it shows that like like Will's best friend Layla has a power to like manipulate plant life, and and of course she does actually have feelings for Will, which she eventually does reveal in the movie. Yeah, and then then the two of them then went went on the bus to Sky High, and then it showed like how their bus driver Ron, oh no, is like it showed that he actually did fly the bus. Like the bus actually did fly into the air, and Sky High was just like really high up in the sky. So, oh yeah, so that was pretty cool. Yeah, and it shows that like a Will is like famous due to like his he's like very well known amongst like other superheroes due to his parents. Yeah, so that's another thing that kind of does make it similar to Harry Potter is that uh, Will is like very well known due to his parents. Yeah. Yeah, and then as all the freshmen then arrived at Sky High, they were greeted by the student body president Gwen Grayson, who like when Will saw her, like he just like immediately uh, developed a crush on her, and yeah, just like was like really like falling for her. Yeah, and then she escorted the freshman class in to the school for orientation, and then they like ended up meeting their school principal principal powers, and it showed that like she had the power to like change into uh, luminous energy that like resembled a comet. Yeah, then they met Coach Boomer, who was played by Bruce Campbell, and it showed that like he had powers to like release supersonic waves from his vocal cords that were listed as sonic screening. Yeah, and then like he just like put all the class through power placement to determine whether or not they would be placed in like the hero class or the sidekick class. So yeah, so then it just showed like all the kids. It's there just like showing their powers and Coach Boomer determining whether they'll be put in the hero or sidekick program. So yeah, and there were some powers like some were like a genuine and like a superhero powers. Like there was like super strength and transformation and yeah, just some other types of like legit superpowers. While there were other powers that just seemed pretty useless. Like there was one kid that just was like his power was glowing, which seemed useless at first, but then it was shown later on like how that it was helpful. Then another kid like had all the power just like melting down into a liquid, and then then another girl like just like had a shape shifting power, but yeah, all she was able to do was just transform into a guinea pig. Yeah. So yeah, so it just showed like depending on which power everybody had, they would be placed in the hero program or the sidekick one. Yeah. And then and then when it came time for Layla to show her powers, she was just in protest of like the two-track nature of the school system. So she just ended up being placed into the sidekick program. Yeah. Then when it came time for Will to show his powers, of course, like he still like didn't have any powers right there. So yeah, very disappointed. Coach Boomer just like screamed sidekick and just caused like a sound of waves all over the school. Yeah, yeah. And then then later on, as Will went to see the school nurse, like the school nurse just like explained to Will that not everybody gets their powers, and there's like cases of those who have both parents with superpowers don't inherit the powers, such as Ron, the bus driver. Yeah, but then then eventually then it was shown that Will and the rest of his friends and everybody else in the sidekick school program, and like it showed that their teacher was actually like known as All American Boy, and it was like revealed that he was actually once Will's dad's sidekick. Yeah, and but and I guess I should also mention that everybody like in the sidekick program, they also like just like tried to just like think of sidekick as just hero support. Yeah, and then like I said, like just like Will's parents like were just not aware of or that Will was placed into the sidekick program, and even like when Will tried to tell his dad at one point, Will his dad just like took him down to like their secret sanctum as he referred to it, and just showed him like all his weapons and everything, and it showed that he had like one mysterious weapon that was known as the pacifier. It was shown that like, well, he talked about like he took it from his science-themed nemesis, who was known as Royal Pain years ago. Yeah, and it seemed to be that they thought that Royal Pain was actually dead, but then it was shown that Royal Pain was actually like watching the strongholds from a hidden camera in one of the trophies in the sanctum, and it also showed that Royal Pain had a sidekick named Stitches. Yeah. Then eventually, like it was like also like revealed that there was another kid at the school who was a pyrokinetic uh, named Warren Peace, and it was like talked about how his father apparently was once a super villain, and Will's father had actually sent him to prison. So so basically, like Will was just like really, like very like uptight about Warren actually coming after him for revenge, and then at one point, as a fight ensued between Warren and Will, it then like showed how Will then eventually ended up manifesting his super strength and was able to actually defeat Will, well, not Will, sorry, Warren in the fight, and it showed how Gwen was very impressed by it, and it was shown that, like, I guess I should say, like, Gwen's power was like a technopathic powers, and she's able to like control machines with her mind. Yeah, and then like that after the fight, like both of them got busted by the principal, and it was also shown like how their detention hall at school like ended up like neutralizing any powers of anybody in the room. Yeah, And then, like, when Will got home that day, like, initially it showed that, like, his parents were not happy, especially his mom. But then, then his dad just, like, when he brought him back down to the sanctum, like, his dad just, like, said, like, he was, how proud he was of Will, and basically Will wasn't in trouble at all. Yeah. So his dad is basically like that cool dad that doesn't never, like, he doesn't ever, like, yell or discipline the kid at all. He just is proud of, like, him developing powers and everything. Yeah. Yeah. And then, it was shown that now that Will had developed his powers, he was now transferred over to the hero program in the school. Yeah. And afterwards, like, he became, like, pretty popular amongst the crowd of the hero kids at the school. Well, and just like, and they were all dismissive of his sidekick friends. Yeah. Yeah. And then one day, as Gwen visited Will's house, she invited his parents to the homecoming dance to accept the Superhero of the Year award, which they accepted. And then, as Will was walking Gwen home, she asked him to the homecoming dance, and then Will accepted, and after that, that's when, like, Gwen became Will's girlfriend. Yeah. And then it also showed, like, how, like, because Will was, like, really just, like, not able to spend time with Layla and the other sidekick, how at one point he did actually attempt to, like, ask Layla to just go out to a Chinese restaurant to eat, but yeah, due to, like being with Gwen all the time, he ended up, like, just blowing her off. Yeah. Yeah. And then it was just, like, showing how Will was just spending more time with Gwen and her friends, and pretty much just ignoring Layla and the others. Yeah. And then eventually, Layla actually did reveal to Warren that he has loved Will for a long time. And then, then later on, Gwen then just, like, was asking Will if uh, if, like, he could help with the preparing for the homecoming dance, and just with the rest of the crew. And then, then despite the fact that he wasn't really allowed to really have anybody over when his parents weren't home, Gwen talked Will into agreeing to it. And then the next day it was, like, revealed how it was pretty much just a whole party with, like, all the heroes at the school. Well, and then during, like, all this, like, during the whole commotion and everything, then, like, who ended up bringing Gwen down to the secret sanctum, and then after she, like, saw, and then then, like, in the whole thing, then after, like, the pacifier was spotted, then Speed ended up stealing the pacifier, and Will didn't see it. Yeah. And then and eventually when Layla, as she, like, investigated the noise, then Gwen just told um told Layla that a lie, that just, like, Will doesn't care about Layla anymore, and pretty much just saying how, like, he likes Gwen and not her. And then Layla pretty much then just, like, stormed off, saying she didn't want to see Will anymore. And after Will realized that Gwen had basically lied to Layla about his feelings for her, he then just broke up with her and just refused to attend the dance. Then it just, like, showed, like, his parents then arrived back home while everybody was still there, and then they quickly ran out. But then after Will just, like, told his parents that he didn't have anything to do with it, once again, like, he was just let off the hook. Like, yeah, and he even, like, said how he wasn't going to be going to the homecoming dance with his parents. Yeah. And then later on, as Will was, like, looking through his dad's old yearbook, he ended up noticing a student that, like, did have a really big resemblance to Gwen, that was holding the pacifier. And then that's when he discovered the pacifier was missing, then he came to the conclusion that since it looked a lot like Gwen, like, Will came to the conclusion that the student, who was named Sue Tenney, was Royal Pain, and Gwen is her daughter. And so then after, this was, like, after his parents had left for the homecoming dance, uh, Will then just called up Ron and then rushed to the dance. And then then at the dance, as the ceremony started up to present the superhero of the year award to Will's parents, then Gwen then revealed that she was Royal Pain. And then it show then it was shown how the pacifier's weapon was actually to turn its target into an infant. Yeah. And so then Gwen just used the pacifier to just turn Will's parents and the staff and everybody in the dance into babies. And then when Will finally arrived at the dance, it showed that how Layla and the rest of the sidekick group of Will's friends were able to avoid Gwen. It was and then when Will arrived at the school, then he confronted Gwen about how what happened to who he thought was her mother. But then Gwen then told Will that in her previous confrontation with the commander, Will's dad, there was a malfunction and it turned her into a baby instead. And then it showed that, and then she said how Stitches is the one that raised her, and she's been waiting this whole time to exact revenge, and her plan was to actually start a supervillain academy with everybody and raise all the superheroes as supervillains for revenge for her being written off as a sidekick when she went to school. And then with the help of Layla and Warren and all the other sidekicks, then they were able to use their powers to really stop Royal Pain and all her accomplices, which consisted of of some of Gwen's other friends and some of the school bullies, such as Speed, Lash, and Penny. Layla and everybody else were able to use their powers to really stop everybody. And then as Will was fighting with Gwen, then it showed how, then eventually Gwen threw Will off of the edge of the school grounds, and and he seemed to be falling. But then it was shown that now he did actually he then develop his mother's powers of flight and was able to fight Gwen off more or and defeat her. But then then it showed how she also had the plan to destroy the school and actually sabotage the anti-gravity drive. And then as she attempted to get the school to fall down, then Will was able to use both his parents' powers to stop him from falling. And and there was a funny moment where it was falling down, heading right towards a house that a new couple, a couple had just moved into, and it showed the husband of that couple was actually played by Tom Kenny, who was of course the voice actor for SpongeBob. So I thought that was interesting. Even back when I first saw this movie, I noticed that. Will was able to stop it from landing just as it was about to hit the house. And then after they got the school back up, it was shown that how everybody was restored to their proper ages, and Will accepted the responsibility for everything, but his parents knew that he wasn't at fault because they were all fooled by Gwen. And it was showed how Gwen and all of her accomplices were imprisoned in the detention halls. And it was also shown how Will's parents now were declaring all the sidekicks the true heroes. And then it just ended with a voiceover from Will, in the form of a comic book, just with Will saying how Ron ended up gaining superpowers after falling into a vat of toxic waste and became a hero. And he and Layla were together, and he was now friends with Warren. And Gwen was now one of his arch enemies, even though now Gwen and her accomplices were now all in prison. And he stated that it was all a weird series of events, but that's high school. Well, and then that's how it ended. So yeah, so like I said, this is a pretty good movie. I actually do like it, and I really don't know why it hasn't really like received any recognition, and like just nobody really talks about this film. Just why not? Yeah, because yeah, it is a good movie. Like it is very creative. It does have funny moments, and yeah, it is just a yeah, it does have a lot of good moments in it. The performances are all pretty good, and yeah, and it just is very creative. Just see like this kind of a story being done like for superheroes. So yeah, so I really don't know why this doesn't really receive any recognition because it is a genuinely good movie. Like I said, if you haven't seen it before, I would definitely recommend checking it out. It is a really good, funny, enjoyable movie. All right, so like I said, 3.25 stars out of 4. All right, yeah. So I guess that's all you really have to say about it. All right, so this does it for my review of Sky High. So I hope you guys did enjoy this review. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys later.